The crystal towers of Nexus Prime stretched toward the purple sky like frozen lightning. Inside the largest tower, the Galactic Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. 847 different species had sent their representatives here today. The air recyclers worked overtime to handle the mix of breathing gases that each species needed. Ambassador Chen Wei stood alone in the center of the massive chamber. The defendant's circle was made of smooth white stone that seemed to glow from within. Around him, thousands of alien eyes watched with expressions he could not read. Some had multiple eyes, others had no eyes at all but sensed him in ways humans barely understood. Chen wore his best diplomatic uniform, the dark blue fabric crisp and clean. The small Earth flag on his collar seemed tiny and insignificant in this place. He had represented humanity for 15 years, but today felt different. Today felt like an ending. High above him on the speaking platform, Counselor Vex 9 of the Zephyrian Collective spread its wing membranes wide. The translucent skin caught the chamber's artificial light and cast rainbow patterns across the walls. When Vex 9 spoke, its voice came through the translation matrix as a cold whisper. "The evidence is clear," Vex 9 announced. "Humanity has violated the sacred preservation zone 17 times in the past decade. They strip mine worlds that should remain untouched. They build colonies without permission. They refuse to follow the population limits that every civilized species accepts." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The Keth Collective's representative, a being that looked like living mercury in a containment suit, flowed forward to speak next. "Humans are unpredictable," the Keth said through their translator. "They ask too many questions. They want to go everywhere and touch everything. They do not understand the concept of forbidden knowledge. This makes them dangerous to galactic stability." Chen's hands tightened into fists at his sides. He had heard these same accusations for months during the preliminary hearings. The council had made up their minds long before today's session began. "Honorable counselors," Chen began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics.
"Humanity acknowledges our mistakes.
We are a young species eager to learn and explore. Yes, we have sometimes acted without proper authorization, but we have also contributed much to galactic civilization." He gestured to the display screens that flickered to life around the chamber. Images appeared showing human doctors working alongside alien medics, human engineers building hospitals on distant worlds, human artists creating works that celebrated the diversity of galactic life. Human medical researchers developed the cure for Regelian bone rot, Chen continued. Our peacekeeping forces stopped the war between the Antares colonies and the free traders. Our cultural exchange programs have brought species together that had never spoken before. A few representatives in the chamber nodded, but Chen could see it was not enough. The hegemony representative, a towering insectoid with 4 arms, clicked its mandibles dismissively. "One does not excuse a child's destructive behavior by praising their artwork," the hegemony said. "Humans cannot be trusted with galactic responsibilities. They are too young, too wild, too hungry for knowledge that should remain buried." The debate continued for hours. Species after species stood to list humanity's crimes and shortcomings. They spoke of human ships found in restricted systems, of human researchers who ignored warnings about dangerous technology, of human colonies that grew too large and consumed too many resources. Chen defended his species as best he could, but he felt like a man trying to hold back the tide with his bare hands. The council had reached a decision before he ever entered the chamber. As the debate wound down, Chen noticed something strange. Several seats in the observer section remained empty. These were not voting seats, but places reserved for the ancient species who rarely participated in council affairs anymore. The architects had not sent anyone. Neither had the seaters or the eternal wanderers. Their absence felt wrong somehow, though Chen could not say why. Chancellor Mortek of the Centauri Alliance called for the final vote. The Chancellor was one of the few species that looked almost human, except for the silver skin and the third eye in the center of his forehead. He had always been fair to humanity in the past, but today his expression was grave. "The motion before us is clear," Mortek announced. "Humanity is to be declared a galactic hazard. All human presence beyond their home solar system must be withdrawn within 72 standard hours. Any human found outside the Sol system after that deadline will be considered an illegal alien and dealt with accordingly." The voting began. Each species announced their decision in turn. The Zephyrians voted to banish humanity. So did the Keth Collective. The hegemony, the free traders, the Antares Republic. A few species voted against the motion. The Delphinians, who had worked closely with human scientists, cast their vote for humanity to stay. So did the Tausadians and the small delegation from the Vegan colonies, but these were minor voices in the vast chamber. Chen watched the vote count climb on the display screens. 823 votes to banish humanity, only 24 votes against. The mathematics were brutal and final. When the last vote was cast, Chancellor Mortek stood and raised his ceremonial staff. The chamber fell silent. By the authority of the Galactic Council, humanity is hereby declared a hazard to galactic civilization. All human assets, personnel, and presence beyond the Sol system must be withdrawn within 72 standard hours. This decision is final and will be enforced by Council fleet assets if necessary. The gavel came down with a sound like thunder. Chen felt the weight of 8 million years of human dreams and ambitions crashing down with it. 12 million humans lived on colonies scattered across 200 worlds. How could they possibly evacuate everyone in 3 days? As the representatives began to file out of the chamber, Chen gathered his papers with hands that wanted to shake. 15 years of diplomatic work undone in a single afternoon. He had failed not just as an ambassador, but as a human being. Ambassador Chen. The voice made him look up. Chancellor Mortek had approached the defendant's circle. Up close, Chen could see that the Chancellor's third eye was focused on something far away, as if seeing things that normal vision could not detect. "I am sorry," Mortek said quietly. The vote was inevitable once the hegemony and the collective agreed to support it. Too many species fear what they do not understand about humanity. Fear? Chen asked. What is there to fear? We are explorers and dreamers, not conquerors. Mortek's third eye blinked slowly. That is exactly what they fear, Ambassador. A species that dreams of touching the stars is dangerous to those who prefer the safety of the ground. The Chancellor turned to leave, then paused. One more thing, Ambassador. You might want to ask your government why the architects chose not to attend today's session. They have not missed a banishment vote in 3,000 years. With that cryptic comment, Mortek walked away, leaving Chen alone in the empty chamber. Outside the crystal windows, the purple sun of Nexus Prime was setting. In 72 hours, no human would ever see this sight again. Chen activated his communication device and prepared to send the most difficult message of his career. Somewhere in the back of his mind, he wondered what the Chancellor had meant about the architects, but there was no time to investigate mysteries now. Humanity had 3 days to abandon the galaxy. The emergency broadcast reached every human settlement in the galaxy within 6 hours. Admiral Sarah Martinez watched the reports flood in from her command center on Luna Station. Each message brought worse news than the last. New Geneva Colony, home to 400,000 people, had only 2 transport ships capable of interstellar travel. The mining platforms around Kepler 442 had no civilian evacuation craft at all. The research station on Proxima Centauri B housed scientists who had spent their entire lives studying the planet's unique ecosystem. Now they had less than 3 days to abandon everything they had ever worked for. Admiral, we're getting reports from Sector 7, Lieutenant Commander Yuki Tanaka announced from her station. The agricultural colonies are requesting permission to destroy their crops rather than leave them for Council forces. Martinez rubbed her temples where a headache was building. Denied, we don't have time for spite. Focus on getting people out alive. The main display showed a 3-dimensional map of human space. Red dots marked colonies that needed evacuation. Yellow dots showed the locations of available transport ships. There were far more red dots than yellow ones. What's our total evacuation capacity? Martinez asked. Assuming we strip every luxury liner, cargo hauler, and private yacht for maximum passenger space. We can move about 8 million people, replied Captain James Morrison, her logistics officer. That leaves 4 million stranded. The number hit Martinez like a physical blow. 4 million people, who would be abandoned to whatever fate the Council had planned for illegal aliens. The official statements talked about relocation to appropriate facilities, but everyone knew what that really meant. Start with the most vulnerable populations, Martinez ordered. Children, elderly, medical patients, then essential personnel and anyone with irreplaceable research. Admiral, Tanaka called out again. We're receiving a priority transmission from Ambassador Chen on Nexus Prime. Chen's face appeared on the main screen. He looked like he had aged 10 years in the past few hours. Behind him, The diplomatic quarter of Nexus Prime was already being evacuated as human staff prepared to leave. "Admiral, I've been trying to negotiate for more time, but the Council won't budge," Chen said. "The enforcement fleets are already moving to key human systems. We have maybe 60 hours before they start forcing compliance." "Understood, Ambassador. Are you getting out safely?" "I'll be on the last diplomatic transport." "But Sarah, there's something else." Something strange happened during the Council session. The ancient observer species didn't attend the vote. The architects, the Cedars, the Eternal Wanderers. Chancellor Mortek seemed to think this was significant. Martinez frowned. She had studied galactic history as part of her military training. The ancient species rarely involved themselves in current politics, but they always sent observers to major council decisions. Their absence was unusual. "I'll look into it," Martinez promised. "But right now, I need to focus on getting our people home." The next 24 hours blurred together in a nightmare of logistics and heartbreak. Martinez coordinated evacuation fleets while listening to desperate transmissions from stranded colonies. The luxury liner Star of Beijing took on 3 times its rated passenger capacity, with people sleeping in corridors and cargo bays. The freighter New Horizon rigged emergency life support to carry researchers from the Tau Ceti science stations. Some colonies refused evacuation orders entirely. The inhabitants of Gliese 666 had spent 30 years terraforming their world into a garden paradise. They transmitted a simple message: "We will not abandon our home. Let the Council come and take it." Other settlements simply could not be reached in time. The Deep Space Monitoring Station at Wolf 359 was too far from any major shipping lane. The asteroid miners in the Centauri belt had no ships capable of interstellar travel. They would have to hope the Council's definition of appropriate relocation was more merciful than it sounded. As the deadline approached, Martinez faced the hardest decision of her career. 3 million humans had been successfully evacuated. 1 million more were in transit aboard overcrowded ships limping towards Seoul. But 8 million people remained scattered across the galaxy, either unwilling or unable to leave, Admiral. "Long-range sensors are detecting anomalous readings," called out Ensign Park from the sensor station. "Multiple contacts appearing at the edge of the Vega system." Martinez looked at the display, expecting to see Council enforcement ships. Instead, she saw something that made no sense at all. The sensor readings showed energy signatures that matched human technology, but the ships themselves appeared to be much older than anything in the human fleet. "Run those readings again," Martinez ordered. "Check for equipment malfunction." "Sensors are functioning normally, Admiral. The contacts are definitely there, and they're definitely using human-style fusion drives. But the isotope decay pattern suggests those reactors are at least 300 years old. That's impossible. Humans didn't have interstellar travel 300 years ago." "Yes, ma'am. That's what makes this so strange." More anomalous readings began appearing across the galaxy. Ancient human technology signatures in systems where humans had supposedly never been. Ships with human DNA traces in their life support systems, drifting dead in space around stars that human astronomers had only recently catalogued. The evacuation continued, but Martinez found herself divided between 2 impossible tasks: saving the humans she could see, and investigating the humans who apparently shouldn't exist. Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's leading expert on xenoarchaeology, arrived at Luna Station 18 hours before the deadline. She brought with her a collection of artifacts that changed everything. "Admiral, these items were recovered from supposedly virgin systems across the galaxy," Vasquez explained as she spread the artifacts across Martinez's conference table. "Star charts with human astronomical designations, personal effects with human DNA, ship components that match human design philosophy but use technologies we don't have." Martinez picked up what looked like a child's toy spaceship. The design was clearly human, but the materials were unlike anything she had seen before. The metal seemed to shift color as she moved it in the light. "How old are these?" Martinez asked. "Carbon dating puts some of them at over 2,000 years old. Others are even older. Admiral, humans have been in space far longer than our history books suggest." The implications were staggering. If humans had been traveling between stars for millennia, then first contact with alien species wasn't humanity's introduction to galactic civilization. It was their return to it. "There's more," Vasquez continued. She activated a portable holographic display that showed a star map. I've been analyzing the distribution pattern of these artifacts. They're not random. They form a deliberate network with nodes at strategic locations throughout the galaxy. What kind of network? I'm not sure. But every major hyperspace route has artifacts nearby. Every critical resource system has traces of ancient human presence. It's as if someone was planning for something, preparing the galaxy for some future event. Martinez stared at the star map, trying to process what she was seeing. Dr. Vasquez, are you suggesting that humans have been secretly controlling galactic civilization for thousands of years? Not controlling, watching, guiding, protecting, maybe. Vasquez highlighted a region of space on the edge of the galaxy. All the artifact trails lead toward this area. It's a region the Council has declared absolutely forbidden. No one is allowed to travel there under any circumstances. The deadline alarm chimed throughout Luna Station. In 12 hours, any human found outside the Sol system would be considered an illegal alien. The evacuation was effectively over. Most of humanity's interstellar presence had been withdrawn, but millions remained stranded. Martinez looked at the star map one more time. Somewhere out there, ancient humans had been watching galactic civilization develop. They had been waiting for something. The question was what? Dr. Vasquez, I want you to analyze every piece of data we have about this forbidden region. Find out what's out there. Admiral, the Council will never let us investigate. We're banished from the galaxy. Martinez smiled grimly. The Council banished humanity from their space. But they might have just banished themselves from ours. Dr. Elena Vasquez had not slept in 36 hours. Her laboratory on Luna Station looked like a hurricane had torn through it. Ancient artifacts covered every surface, each one tagged with coordinates and dating information. Holographic displays showed star maps, chemical analyses, and translation matrices working to decode mysterious symbols found on the artifacts. Elena stood before the emergency assembly of Earth's government. Representatives from every nation sat in the semicircular chamber, their faces grim as they listened to her preliminary report. President Chen Liu of the Pacific Federation leaned forward in her chair. Dr. Vasquez, please explain to us exactly what you've discovered, President Liu said. Elena activated the main display screen. A three-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared, with thousands of small blue dots scattered throughout. Each blue dot represents a location where we've found human artifacts that predate our official space age by centuries or millennia. Elena began. These aren't random crash sites or lost ships. They're strategically placed throughout the galaxy, forming what appears to be a vast network. Director Kowalski of the European Union raised his hand. How can we be certain these artifacts are actually human in origin? DNA analysis confirms human genetic material in life support systems and personal effects, Elena replied. The technological signature matches human design philosophy. Most importantly, the astronomical designations on their star charts use Earth-based coordinate systems that were developed in our ancient past. Elena switched to a close-up view of one artifact. It looked like a navigation device, but made from materials that seemed to bend light around them. This navigation computer was found orbiting a star system in the Orion Arm. The star charts, inside it used constellation names from ancient Greek and Chinese astronomy, but the technology is far beyond anything we currently possess. Prime Minister Singh of the Indian Confederation frowned. Are you suggesting that ancient humans had space travel capabilities thousands of years ago, then somehow lost them? Not lost them, hidden them. Elena brought up another display showing what looked like a medieval manuscript. I've been working with historians to analyze ancient texts that were previously considered mythology. Many contain surprisingly accurate descriptions of space travel, alien worlds, and galactic politics. She pointed to an illuminated page showing what medieval scholars had called angels. But in the context of Elena's discoveries, the winged figures looked remarkably like the Zephyrian collective members. The medieval text calls them messengers from the crystal towers beyond the sky, Elena explained. But we know them as the Zephyrian collective, who build their cities from crystalline structures. Chancellor Müller of the Germanic states looked skeptical. Dr. Vasquez, you're asking us to believe that humans were traveling among the stars during the Middle Ages? I'm asking you to consider the evidence. Elena switched to a new display showing chemical analysis data. This is particularly interesting. Many of the artifacts contain traces of elements that don't exist naturally in our solar system, Elements that we've only recently discovered on worlds we thought we were visiting for the first time. Elena walked closer to the assembly, her voice growing more urgent. Think about it. How did humanity adapt so quickly to galactic civilization? Most species take centuries to adjust to interstellar politics. We did it in decades. How did we develop technologies that rivaled species with thousands of years of experience? How did we know exactly which worlds to colonize and which to avoid? President Liu looked troubled. What are you suggesting, Doctor? I'm suggesting that our first contact with alien species wasn't humanity's introduction to galactic civilization. It was our return to it. The chamber erupted in nervous murmurs. Elena waited for quiet before continuing. The evidence suggests that a significant population of humans left Earth during our medieval period. They spread across the galaxy using technologies that our official history says didn't exist yet. They've been out there for over 1,000 years, watching and waiting. Director Kowalski stood up. Waiting for what? Elena activated her final display. It showed the forbidden region that all the artifact trails pointed toward. That's what we need to find out. Every piece of evidence leads to this area of space. The Council has declared it absolutely off-limits, but according to the artifact network, it's the center of everything. What do you think is out there? Asked Prime Minister Singh. I think that's where the original human colonists went. I think they've been building something, preparing for something. Elena paused, then added quietly, I think they've been waiting for this moment. President Liu stood and walked to the display showing the forbidden region. Dr. Vasquez, you're suggesting that when the Council banished humanity from the galaxy, they may have triggered some kind of response from these ancient human colonies? The timing is too convenient to be coincidence. Think about it. Why would the Council suddenly decide that humanity is too dangerous to remain in galactic civilization? We've been peaceful explorers for decades. What changed? Elena brought up a timeline display showing major galactic events. 3 months ago, long-range sensors detected unusual energy signatures in deep space. 2 months ago, several ancient observer species began withdrawing from Council activities. Last month, archaeological teams across the galaxy started finding human artifacts in supposedly virgin systems. She turned to face the assembly directly. I believe the ancient human colonies have begun revealing themselves. The Council isn't banishing us because we're dangerous. They're banishing us because they're afraid of what they're starting to discover about human presence in the galaxy. Chancellor Miller looked pale. Dr. Vasquez, if there are ancient human colonies with advanced technology, why haven't they made contact with Earth? Because they were waiting for the right time. And I think that time is now. Elena activated one final display. It showed a message that had been decoded from one of the artifacts just hours before her presentation. The text was in ancient Latin, but the translation appeared below it. When the children of Earth are cast out from the halls of power, when the galaxy turns its back on those who planted the first seeds, then shall the watchers return from the void between stars. The long sleep ends. The true guardians awaken. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Elena continued, This message was found in an artifact that carbon dating places at over 1,500 years old. It's a prediction, or maybe it's a plan. President Liu returned to her seat, her expression thoughtful. Dr. Vasquez, what do you recommend we do with this information? We need to investigate the forbidden region. We need to find out what's really out there. And we need to prepare for the possibility that humanity's role in galactic civilization is very different from what we've been told. The Council will never allow us to investigate. Director Kowalski pointed out. We're banished from the galaxy. Elena smiled for the first time in days. The Council banished the humanity they know about, but they can't banish the humanity they don't know exists. Before anyone could respond, Elena's communication device chimed with an urgent message. She read it quickly, then looked up at the assembly with wide eyes. What is it? President Liu asked. It's from Admiral Martinez. Long-range sensors have detected massive energy signatures appearing at the edge of multiple star systems. Ships with technology that matches the ancient artifacts, but far more advanced than anything we've seen before. Elena paused, then delivered the news that would change everything. The ancient human colonies aren't hiding anymore. They're coming home. In the silence that followed, Elena realized that the Council's decision to banish humanity might have been the biggest mistake in galactic history. They thought they were removing a dangerous species from civilization. Instead, they had just awakened something that had been sleeping in the dark spaces between stars for over 1,000 years. The question now was whether that something would come as friends or as conquerors. Lena suspected the answer depended entirely on how the galaxy had treated humanity's children, while the parents were away. Captain Marcus Chen drifted in the observation deck of the generation ship Aspiration, watching the spiral arms of the Milky Way galaxy slowly rotate before him. At this distance between galaxies, the entire structure looked like a glowing pinwheel against the cosmic dark. His ship and hundreds of others like it had been humanity's secret guardians for over 12 centuries. The quantum communicator beside him chimed with an encrypted message from the homeworld. Marcus read the transmission 3 times before he fully believed it. The Galactic Council had voted to banish humanity from galactic space. Every human presence beyond Sol system had to be withdrawn within 72 hours. Marcus activated the ship-wide communication system. All department heads to the bridge. Priority Alpha. The Bridge of Aspiration looked nothing like the cramped command centers of the ships humanity used in Council space. This vessel had been built in the void between stars, using technologies developed over centuries of isolation. The walls curved organically, covered with living metal that pulsed with inner light. Control surfaces responded to thought as much as touch. Dr. Sarah Kim, the ship's chief historian, arrived first. She was a small woman with silver hair, but her eyes held the wisdom of someone who had studied the rise and fall of galactic civilizations for over 200 years. Behind her came Commander Jackson Torres, head of ship security, and engineer Liu Wei, who had designed some of the most advanced technologies in human space. Report from Earth Command, Marcus announced as the last department head took their seat. The Council has declared humanity a galactic hazard. All human colonies are being evacuated back to Sol system. Dr. Kim leaned forward. How many made it out? About 8 million evacuated successfully. 4 million are stranded on distant colonies. The Council enforcement fleets are already moving to secure human territory. Commander Torres looked puzzled. Captain, forgive me, but why is this our concern? The Watchers abandoned galactic politics centuries ago. We've been observing from the void, not participating. Marcus turned to face the main display, which showed a detailed map of the galaxy. Thousands of small markers indicated the positions of Watcher ships, monitoring stations, and hidden bases. They formed a vast network that surrounded galactic civilization like a protective shell. Because this is exactly what we've been waiting for, Marcus said quietly. Dr. Kim, please explain the cycle theory to our newer crew members. Dr. Kim stood and activated a holographic display showing the history of galactic civilization. For the past 800 years, we've been watching the same pattern repeat across multiple species. Young civilizations emerge, join the Galactic Council, and initially thrive. They explore, they grow, they contribute to galactic knowledge. The display showed the rise of various species over time, but eventually they become conservative. They start to fear change, fear the unknown. When a newer species appears with fresh ideas and different approaches, the established powers declare them dangerous and force them out. The hegemony did it to the Zephyrians 300 years ago, Dr. Kim continued. The Centauri Alliance did it to the Free Traders 200 years ago. Each time, the banished species either dies out or evolves beyond the need for galactic civilization. Commander Torres frowned. So humanity is just the latest species to be cast out? No, Marcus said firmly. Humanity is different. Because this time the Watchers are here. Engineer Liu raised her hand. Captain, I've been analyzing the quantum message from Earth. There's something else. Archaeological teams have been finding ancient human artifacts throughout the galaxy. Someone down there has figured out that we exist. Marcus nodded. Dr. Elena Vasquez on Luna Station. Her investigation was inevitable once the Council started banishing humanity. We've been preparing for this revelation for centuries. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. The Watchers had maintained their secret for over 1,000 years. But now their existence was becoming known to both the galactic community and to Earth itself. What are your orders, Captain? Dr. Kim asked. Marcus walked to the center of the bridge where a 3-dimensional map showed the positions of all Watcher vessels. There were more than anyone in galactic civilization suspected. Generation ships like Aspiration, mobile space stations that could support millions of people, reconnaissance vessels that had been mapping galactic politics for centuries, construction platforms that had built structures in the dark spaces between stars. Activate Protocol 7, Marcus commanded. All Watcher vessels are to begin moving toward their assigned positions around major galactic systems. Do not engage Council forces, but make your presence known. Engineer Liu looked concerned. Captain, Protocol 7 means revealing ourselves to galactic civilization. There's no going back from that. There was never going to be a going back, Marcus replied. We've been guardians of galactic civilization for over a millennium. We've watched species rise and fall, guided their development from the shadows, and protected them from threats they never even knew existed. Dr. Kim activated another display showing the vast space between galaxies. The Voidwalkers from Andromeda have been probing our galaxy's defenses for 3 centuries. The quantum parasites from the Magellanic Clouds have been trying to infect galactic computer networks. The reality storms from the galactic core have been contained by Watcher technology since before the Council even existed. The galactic species think their civilization developed naturally, Commander Torres realized. They don't know that humanity has been protecting them all along. Exactly, Marcus said. And now they've decided that their protectors are too dangerous to be allowed to remain. It's time for them to learn the truth. The quantum communicator chimed again. This time it was a priority message from Admiral Helena Vasquez, Marcus's counterpart commanding the Watcher fleet in the Orion Arm. Marcus, we've detected Council enforcement fleets moving toward human colonies. Several settlements are refusing evacuation. The agricultural world of New Eden has activated their defensive shields and declared independence from Council authority. Marcus studied the tactical display that appeared on the main screen. Council ships surrounded several human worlds, but they were hesitating to attack. The presence of Watcher vessels at the edge of each system was making them nervous. Helena, what's the status of the Artifact Revelation Protocol? Archaeological teams across the galaxy are finding our planted evidence right on schedule. The Council's xenoarchaeologists are starting to realize that human presence in the galaxy predates official first contact by millennia. Some of them are asking uncomfortable questions about how extensive that presence really is. Marcus smiled. The Watchers had been preparing for this moment for centuries. Hidden artifacts, dormant technologies, and carefully preserved evidence had been scattered throughout the galaxy. When the time came to reveal themselves, they wanted galactic civilization to understand that humanity hadn't just recently arrived among the stars. Dr. Kim, show me the seedling worlds, Marcus commanded. A new display appeared showing dozens of star systems throughout the galaxy. Each one contained worlds that had been subtly terraformed by Watcher technology over the centuries. Worlds where the atmosphere had been carefully adjusted to support life. Worlds where mineral deposits had been arranged to support industrial development. Worlds where asteroid belts had been cleared to create safe space for orbital habitats. Every major species in galactic civilization developed on worlds that we prepared for them, Dr. Kim explained. The Zephyrians think their crystal cities grow naturally from their planet's silicon fields. The Keth Collective believes their mercury seas formed through natural processes. The hegemony assumes their perfectly balanced ecosystem developed by chance. We've been gardeners, Marcus said quietly, cultivating galactic civilization, protecting it from external threats and guiding its development. Now the children think they're old enough to cast out their parents. Commander Torres looked at the display showing Council fleets surrounding human worlds. Captain, what happens if they actually attack human colonies? Marcus's expression hardened. Then the galaxy discovers why we call ourselves Watchers instead of Guardians. Guardians protect. Watchers decide who deserves protection. The quantum communicator activated again. This time it was a direct transmission from Earth from Admiral Martinez herself. Unknown vessels, this is Admiral Sarah Martinez of Earth Fleet Command. We're detecting massive energy signatures matching ancient human technology throughout the galaxy. Please identify yourselves. Marcus looked around the bridge at his crew. They had served together for decades, some for over a century thanks to Watcher life extension technology. They had been born in the void between stars, raised on stories of Earth and galactic civilization, trained to be humanity's secret guardians. Open a channel to Earth, Marcus commanded, and activate the recall beacon. It's time for all Watchers to come home. As the communication link activated, Marcus prepared to speak words that would change galactic history forever. The Council thought they had banished humanity from galactic civilization. They were about to discover that they had banished galactic civilization from humanity's protection. Chancellor Mortek stood in the Galactic Council's Emergency Command Center, watching displays that showed impossible readings from across the galaxy. Ships were appearing at the edge of every major star system. Ships that used human technology but possessed capabilities far beyond anything the Council had ever seen. Status report, Mortek demanded, his third eye focused on the tactical displays. Commander Vex 9 of the Zephyrian Collective spread his wing membranes nervously. Over 300 unknown vessels have appeared in strategic positions throughout Council space. They're maintaining defensive formations but have not responded to our hail attempts. Energy signatures? Mortek asked. That's the disturbing part, Chancellor. The signatures match human fusion technology, but the power output is impossible. These ships are generating more energy than entire star systems. On the main display, a massive vessel appeared near the Nexus Prime system. It was clearly of human design, but built on a scale that dwarfed anything in the Council fleet. The ship was over 50 kilometers long, its hull made from materials that seemed to bend space around them. Chancellor, called out the communications officer, a member of the Keth Collective whose mercury form rippled with anxiety. We're receiving a transmission from the lead vessel. They're requesting permission to dock at Nexus Prime Station. Mortek's three eyes blinked in sequence. Requesting permission? They have enough firepower to level the station and they're asking politely? Sir, you should see this transmission. The main screen switched to show a human face. The man appeared to be in his 50s with silver hair and eyes that held the wisdom of centuries. Behind him, the bridge of his ship looked like something from a dream, with flowing organic curves and technology that responded to thought. Greetings, Chancellor Mortek. I am Captain Marcus Chen of the Generation Ship Aspiration. I represent the human settlements that have existed in this galaxy for over 1,200 years. I request an audience with the full Galactic Council to discuss recent events. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Commander Vex 9 was the first to speak. 1,200 years? That's impossible. Humans only achieved interstellar travel 60 years ago. Mortek studied the tactical displays again. The human ships had positioned themselves perfectly to monitor all major space lanes, while remaining in international space. It was the deployment of a force that knew galactic geography better than the Council itself. Commander, scan the historical databases. Look for any record of human presence predating official first contact. 20 minutes later, Vex 9 returned with data that changed everything. Chancellor, our xenoarchaeologists have been finding human artifacts throughout the galaxy for the past 3 months. We initially assumed they were recent contamination from human colonies, but the dating analysis shows artifacts over 2 millennia old. Mortek felt a chill run through his body. Show me. The display filled with images of artifacts recovered from across Council space. Star charts using Earth-based coordinate systems found in systems humans supposedly never visited. Personal effects with human DNA discovered in archaeological sites on worlds that predated human space travel. Technology that matched human design philosophy but used principles the Council's science teams couldn't understand. There's more, Chancellor. Review teams have been analyzing Council records going back to the founding. Several historical events that we attributed to natural phenomena or unknown factors now appear to have human fingerprints on them. The display showed a timeline of galactic history with new annotations. The asteroid that prevented the Zephyrian homeworld from being destroyed by a gamma ray, burst 300 years ago, had been moved into position using human-style gravitational manipulation. The plague that swept through hegemony space 2 centuries ago had been cured by medical knowledge that appeared anonymously in their databases. The reality storms from the galactic core that should have sterilized the entire Orion arm had been mysteriously contained by energy barriers no one could explain. They've been protecting us, Mortek whispered. All this time they've been our guardians and we never knew. Chancellor, incoming priority transmission from multiple sources, the communications officer announced. Earth Fleet, the human colony worlds, and the unknown vessels are all requesting immediate council session. Mortek made a decision that would echo through galactic history. Convene an emergency full council session, and send a personal message to Captain Chen. Tell him that the Chancellor of the Galactic Council formally requests his presence. 2 hours later, the council chamber was fuller than it had been in decades. Every species had sent their most senior representatives. Even the ancient observer species had returned, filling seats that had been empty for centuries. The architects sat in their crystalline alcoves. The cedars manifested in their energy forms. The eternal wanderers materialized from their quantum existence. Captain Marcus Chen entered the chamber not as a defendant, but as an honored guest. He was accompanied by Dr. Sarah Kim and Commander Jackson Torres, both carrying themselves with the dignity of people who had spent lifetimes protecting others. Chancellor Mortek stood as they approached the speaking platform. Captain Chen, the Galactic Council welcomes you and formally requests your explanation of recent events. Marcus looked around the chamber, seeing faces that represented hundreds of species. Some looked curious, others fearful, still others awed. He had been preparing for this moment for over a century. Honorable counselors, my people have been watching over galactic civilization since before most of your species achieved interstellar travel. We have protected you from external threats, guided your development, and prepared worlds for your expansion. Dr. Kim activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy, with humanity's hidden infrastructure revealed. Monitoring stations in dark nebulae, manufacturing platforms in asteroid fields, defensive networks around every major system. The scope of it was breathtaking. The reality storms from the galactic core that threaten all life in this galaxy are contained by barriers we built and maintain. Marcus continued. The Void Walkers from Andromeda have been turned back by fleets you've never seen. The quantum parasites that would destroy your computer networks are filtered out by systems we installed in your communication relays. Counselor Vex 9 rose from his seat. Why? Why protect us in secret? Why not reveal yourselves and join galactic civilization openly? Because young civilizations need room to grow, Dr. Kim answered. Every species must find its own path to maturity. We served as silent guardians, intervening only when extinction-level threats appeared. Commander Torres gestured to the display. Your species have grown strong and wise under our protection. You've developed art, science, and philosophy that surpasses anything we imagined when we first left Earth. You've created a galactic civilization worth protecting, Chancellor. Mortek felt the weight of centuries of ignorance pressing down on him. Captain Chen, we banished your people from the galaxy. We declared humanity a threat to galactic civilization. Marcus smiled sadly. You banished the humans you knew about, Chancellor. You cannot banish the humans who built the infrastructure that keeps your civilization alive. The chamber erupted in nervous murmurs as the implications became clear. The hegemony representative, a towering insectoid, clicked his mandibles anxiously. Are you threatening us? The hegemony demanded. Quite the opposite, Marcus replied. We're offering you a choice. You can continue to benefit from our protection while pretending we don't exist, or you can accept humanity as your partners in building an even greater galactic civilization. One of the architects, an ancient being of living crystal, spoke for the first time in centuries. Its voice resonated through the chamber like music. The Watchers have fulfilled their covenant faithfully. They have protected the young races through their time of growth. The question now is whether galactic civilization is mature enough to stand as equals with its guardians. Chancellor Mortek looked around the chamber, seeing the faces of representatives who were grappling with the revelation that their entire civilization had been protected by guardians they never knew existed. The vote to banish humanity suddenly seemed not just wrong, but tragically ignorant. Captain Chen, Mortek said formally, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I rescind the banishment order against humanity. Further, I formally invite your people to take their rightful place as full partners in galactic civilization. The vote was unanimous. Every species that had voted to cast out humanity now voted to welcome them back. But this time they were welcoming not just the humans they knew, but the vast civilization that had been protecting them all along. As the session concluded, Marcus Chen looked out at the galaxy through the crystal windows of Nexus Prime. Somewhere out there, Watcher ships were standing down from alert status. Ancient monitoring stations were revealing themselves to local traffic control. Hidden manufacturing platforms were beginning to produce goods for open trade, rather than secret protection. The age of secret guardianship was over. The age of open partnership was beginning. And for the first time in over 1,000 years, humanity's children were coming home to a galaxy that finally understood what they had always been protecting.